Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. How's everybody doing this fine summer evening? We are July 7th, 2026. It's been blistering hot in Montreal the last few days, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful way to kick off this summer. This summer, weather. A lot of people are going on vacation, but a lot of us are sticking around over here. Speaking of vacation, you'll probably notice if you're watching us on Spotify, which you can do now, or on YouTube. We're still one man down over here. It's myself, Fab. We got Raj, and Nash is
This guy.
still in the motherland. He's still in the land of cannolis. He's really enjoying himself down there. He's on his way back though. I think he's flying out tomorrow morning. Hopefully, he flies out tomorrow morning because with the whole Etna eruption.
Mount Vesuvius or
No, it's Vesuvius is in my part of town over there. That's in Napoli. That's in the Campania region. NAC is currently in Sicily right now, where Mount Etna, has been very active the last few days. So hopefully he arrives safe and sound. So NAC, safe travels if you're listening, which you should be. You absolutely should. I think there's no question in my mind. You should be. So that's why we're still one man down, but it's okay, ladies and gentlemen. We still have a wonderful episode planned for you guys. Don't worry about it. We're going to be talking about some post hype sleepers for 2026. This episode, which is very interesting. So before we get into that, right, I'm sure you guys are asking, what is a post-height sleeper? Well, like every draft has like a sort of like a graveyard of names that were once untouchable, that are now being ignored a little bit. Like the talent really hasn't changed amongst these guys, but the price kind of has, and that's the interesting part. And we're going to kind of dive into that in this episode right now. Like the gap where league winners are found really comes in these types of scenarios, right? So again, what is a post-height sleeper? You can kind of break it down to three phases a little bit. Like the first one being the hype, like so top prospects, sky high expectations, all that stuff. I'm sure we have a lot of names we can roll out right now just from phase one. And then phase two happens. Sophomore slump, the letdown, the injuries, the bad team, managers lose faith. So then what happens? Phase three rolls around. Phase three is the buy window. It's when the ADP craters, situations improve. And this is where you strike. This is where league champions are typically made, believe it or not, where guys that wait on players that have huge upside with minimal risk because you're getting them at such a deep discount. So that's what we're going to be covering today on this episode. But before we jump into that, ladies and gentlemen, please follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter for all the weekly fantasy breakdowns all season long. Send us all of your questions. I mean, the drafts is literally around the corner. I think training camp is going to be starting up in a few weeks.
End of July,
which is very exciting. Right after the World Cup. So right after France beats Argentina in the World Cup, or Argentina wins it, because the World Cup, of all the major tournaments in the world, the World Cup is probably the one that is the most honest. I think there's the least amount of colluding that takes place. I don't know.
Special guest referees, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle. There's like special guest referees all the time.
It's the one where government intervention does not take place, and where where red cards stay red cards and are not rescinded.
It's the equivalent of the fast 1, 2, 3 count in WWE. That's
my god, that's good. That's really good. That's really good. And I love how every single NFL pundit has become a soccer analyst overnight. And I'm not trying to stand here on like a soapbox and say that I know soccer better than those guys do, because I don't, or I probably do, but whatever. And it's just all of a sudden they become so passionate about it, and it's like, how is this possible? Well, of course it is. That's not a tackle. Of course, guy, Studs was out. He almost ripped off his calf. But yeah, sure.
USA isn't united. They lost. The United States lost because they are not united. RG3, like. Horrible takes.
I never want to read. I'm starting to dislike RG3 on
starting
Twitter more than Dave Portnoy, and that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. That obnoxious little. Anyways,
little what?
Well, he's not little. He's big. He's big. Did you ever see him run the 40? It takes him like 14 minutes. Anyway, so sorry guys, those are crazy tangent.
Post-type sleepers. Post-type sleepers.
So that's it. So we got that breaking down in 3 phases right now. We're gonna go by position like we always do. So I'm gonna get the ball rolling. I'm gonna start off with quarterbacks. And this guy is probably on top of everybody's list as a potential post-hype sleeper. He was the darling in his rookie season. He had a fantastic rookie season. Everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing, the next Peyton Manning, whatever, Tom Brady, CJ Stroud, earth-shattering rookie year. Immediately crowned the elite quarterback one. And then there was the sophomore slump, which is kind of typical amongst quarterbacks, right? Like, I don't want to completely put this on CJ Stroud's shoulders, but it was kind of typical amongst quarterbacks, and that might happen to a few of them this year as well. The O-line regressed terribly, and that didn't help him at all. But, in this offseason right now, the O-line was retooled. Like, the situation is improving around him. And from an ADP standpoint right now, he's being drafted well outside the top 5. He's being right now drafted as QB 22. The market forgot what he looked like. And I kind of like this from a value standpoint, right? Because you're looking at more or less the same weapons. If anything, the weapons, like last year, the weapons improved, and those weapons got a year older with a year more of experience. They also added a great running back in David Montgomery, which I think is really going to help him as well. Because even from a pass protection, from a running back standpoint, Montgomery has been pretty good. Better O-line. So you know what? Like, am I going all in on CJ Stroud? Absolutely not. Am I a little more confident with him as my QB2 as I would have been last year? Yeah, I am. And this is coming from a guy who drafted him in his sophomore when he slumped, and it was sort of like Xing him out for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud's one of those guys where you can definitely get value at the right spot from a QB2 perspective. I'm not lining up to draft him, but at the same time, if he's on my team as my QB2, I'm okay with it.
Love the take. He's gonna come at a QB3 cost, and he could easily be a QB2. And with that supporting cast, Tank Della's back, Jaden Higgins, he could end up being low end QB2 or high end QB2, low end QB1 potentially. So I love the take, Fab.
Yeah. And you always like it when a quarterback has a good defense to play off of, because they're gonna get the ball back right away.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Houston Texans probably on paper right now have the best defense in the NFL, and I don't think it's necessarily I don't think it's that close. All they did in the draft is just shore up their defense. They got that defensive tackle, I think is out of Georgia, Caden Daniels, I think his name is, or something like that. I'm butchering his name. He's a big defensive tackle. So that's another reason why too. It's like, you know what? Both sides of the ball are very strong over here. So yeah, CJ Stroud could be super interesting from a post-high sleeper. The next one I have on my list right now, and this is we've spoken about him earlier.
Your favorite player in the NFL?
I never thought that those words be uttered out of my mouth, quite frankly, because I've never been a fan of his. But I think the situation is just a little bit too good for him right now, and he did have like a former MVP level style of fantasy season. We're talking about Kyler Murray, the future QB1 for the Minnesota Vikings. He's going right now as quarterback 17. So a little bit richer, I guess you want to call it that, than CJ Stroud, but he has more of a body of work where you've seen him produce, and he's coming off of a bad situation with the Cardinals. Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, Kyler Murray had a bunch of top 5 seasons. Not a bunch. He had like a few top 5 seasons.
I don't mean to cut you off. He has a body of work. Do I like that body of work? Not necessarily, but
So Kyler Murray in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons he's played, like 2 of them have been shortened by injury. He's finished top 10 4 times.
Yeah,
I'll admit that his better days were very much in the beginning of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very much. I'll admit that. But again, the situation has changed. He's in a different environment. He has great weapons around him. He has a very interesting offensive-minded coordinator under Kevin O'Connell. And I do not think J.J. McCarthy will sniff a blade of grass on this season with Kyler Murray there. I really, really don't. And I think there's a possibility where Kyler Murray, I know super hot take is that he finishes top 3. I said that earlier in episodes and all that stuff. I'm not saying
we're rolling back. That was our bold prediction episode. You can't roll those back right away.
I wasn't rolling it back. I was going to say he's going to finish as QB number 1. No, I'm kidding. I just think there's the upside is huge here. The upside is huge, and you can't discount it. and if you're getting him at a QB 17, like why not, man? Why not? The upside massive.
My counterpoints are, how will he fit with Kevin O'Connell? Yes, the Kevin O'Connell is a reason to like him, but that is an offense that isn't necessarily tailored to his strengths. And you mentioned it, Fab, like the injury history. To be a post-hype sleeper, you have to play. You have to be on the field. Availability is your best ability. So that's something that Kyler Murray has not been able to do. Those are my only counters. But he is a valid post-hype sleeper at QB for sure.
I think so, and I think it can't be overlooked. They can't just look at the name Kyler Murray. Oh, he's garbage. He's whatever. It's like the guy's in a good situation. The guy's in a good situation where he can perform and put you up like weekly top 5 numbers. Realistically, it's not impossible. They have the weapons. They have the quarterback. They have the wide receivers. They have the tight end. They have the running backs. It's all there.
He needs, the last thing I'll say, he needs a big year, because this could be a precursor to a huge payday. 100%. If he has a bad year, he's not going to get another payday again. He's gonna kind of fall into the Justin Fields type of realm of spot starter here and there. So you got to be able to beat out JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, which, like, honestly, like, I don't think it takes much to beat out JJ McCarthy. No offense, JJ, if you're listening, but my God, man, shape up. Anyways, moving on to number.
Relax there, Diana Rossini.
She was on a cruise. TMZ caught her and her family and took pictures of her kids on a cruise. Like, guys, give it a rest. Let it be, man. She's on a cruise. Jesus. TMZ, how do they get this stuff? Quarterback number 3 that I have right now.
There's a lot of movement in those pictures, I'll just say.
Yeah, this is a PG-13 show.
I just said there's movement. That's it.
It's PG-13. Well, yeah, because the boat was rocking. Don't come and knock it. Quarterback number 3, we got Michael Penix Jr. for the Falcons, ranked as quarterback 31. So this is a very, very, very deep cut over here. Partial ACL tear. No offense with the deep cut. No offense with the deep cut. Poor guy. All this guy does is just get ACL tears. He ended 2025 with 9 games, but he has so many weapons around him. Surrounded by London, Pitts, Bijan, Kyle Pitts. I think he's what? Is ranked as is he the highest paid tight end right now?
Newly signed Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, newly signed. Is he the highest paid, or he's close to it? Right. His ADP is like quarterback 31. Like, as a super flex, you're not gonna throw a dart at this guy, Michael Penix Jr. Like, knowing that he's gonna come out as a starter, because I think there's gonna be a bit of a competition between him and Tua. So let's just say like Michael Penix Jr. or Tua here, right? Which, ironically, I don't know how many teams have ever had 2 left-hand quarterbacks on the same roster ever. I don't think the playbook's going to change all that much for these 2 guys, which I think is hilarious. But, like, again, you're putting a very capable quarterback, assuming a very capable quarterback, in a very good situation. Michael Penix can sling it. He can sling it. He's got to stay on the field. And you've seen the bit of chemistry happen between him and London and Bijan towards the end of the season. So you just got to hope that really translates again. So this is another guy that, like, you could draft him as your QB4, realistically, as your QB4, and he can give you back some spot starting returns when your QB2 is underperforming because you didn't draft Kyle Murray.
Yeah. It's underwhelming. I'm not going to lie, only because he hasn't been cleared for 11-on-11 drills yet. So apparently that's supposed to happen soon. But similarly to Kyler Murray, like, he needs to play this year, because it's a new coaching staff, it's a new GM, it's Matt Ryan that's in now. So if they don't see anything from him this year, he is not going to be on the team next year. It's they're going to go after the quarterback for sure.
And similar to Kyle Murray, they went and they got Tua. Mm-hmm. Like, Tua got cut and all that stuff, and they knew the type of, like, what the product they're getting from Tua. I'm much safer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna say Kyle Murray is safer, but the upside is more or less there, in the sense that they have that body of work. They've played football at a high level for a majority of seasons. So just how Michael Penix, to your point, this is a make or break year for him. This really is. I think he's going to have to really show out if he's going to have any sort of future in the NFL.
Totally.
So those are our our post-hype sleepers, for 2026 from a quarterback perspective. Raj, I'm going to hand it off to you, and you can take care of the running backs.
Yes, thank you, Sir Fabio. So I'm going to start off with the running backs with a post-hype sleeper who a lot of people thought was going to be one of the best running backs in the NFL at this stage. And I don't think it's necessarily his fault, and that's Breece Hall. So Breece Hall has been in top 5 discussions few years ago, I would say. 2025, in 2023, he was a rookie. He was behind Michael Carter and a few other guys. And then he had that really breakout season in 2023 where he had almost 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, 76 receptions. And ever since then, I think we've been yearning for more. You know, he had some injury issues. Last year in 2025, it was solid production, 1,065 rushing yards, but he finished only as the RB20, career low in targets, and only 5 touchdowns. That killed his value. I think what makes this an upside play for Breece Hall is the fact that he got a contract extension. Raise your hand if you thought Breece Hall was not going to be a Jet by the start of this offseason. I think a lot of us thought maybe he was destined for Kansas City or Houston. So the fact that they gave him an extension, this new regime, that bodes very well for them. Now with Kenyon Sadiq, they brought in Omar Cooper Jr. They brought in Geno Smith. Off-field issues aside, that's a considerable upgrade over the quarterbacks they've had previously. And Frank Reich, who say what you will about his time in Indy and in Carolina, he knows how to conjure up at least a decent offense. So I think things are looking good for Breece Hall. If you look at what he's ranked now, he's going as the RB14. So that's pretty middle of the pack for a guy who has RB1 talent. So I very much like Breece Hall at the current cost that he's in. I think he's a very valid post-type sleeper for 2026.
Yeah, I like this too. The only pushback I want to have is really Braylon Allen, right? I really think that they want to carve out a role for him in this offense. I do like Breece Hall. I do like him at this value. And I agree with everything you said. I think there's a lot of meat on this bone from a running back perspective. There's a lot of untapped potential. And I hope we get that out of him this year, especially since he signed a bigger contract. I'm just concerned about, the committee aspect because Braylon Allen's a big boy, right? So it might be of a situational scenario for Breece Hall in some aspects. But
Allen was injured last year, right?
Did Allen get injured?
Yeah, because that's why Breece Hall had his career high in carries of 243, which is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll get that again, to your point, but
I think from a PPR standpoint, there's value here, which is where he might outplay his ADP, right? Yeah. I mean, it's the RB14 is good.
Yeah,
it's good, but he can finish as a top 10 back just from a PPR perspective.
Absolutely. Moving on to the next post-hype sleeper at running back. So I think this guy's a really valid post-hype sleeper, and that's RJ Harvey. I think we all agreed during the 2025 draft, from a pre-draft perspective, scouting perspective, RJ Harvey's name was bandied about really, really strongly. I think he had 1,800 rushing yards at the University of Central Florida. He was known for his pass catching prowess, and I think looking at those two aspects combined with going into a Sean Payton offense led people to be really, really optimistic about how he's going to perform. What's interesting is he actually had a relatively decent season, all things considered. When I was looking at all his stats, noticed that he actually had 12 touchdowns in 2025, 7 rushing, 5 catching, 16.8 PPR points per game from week 11 on. But it still felt disappointing for some reason. And I think that's because of J.K. Dobbins was there. There was Jaleel McLaughlin. There was Tyler Bidet. And now they also drafted I think his name is Ronnie Coleman, Coleman from Washington. They added another running back. So I think people are a little less optimistic about RJ Harvey. The fact that he tore a labrum in the AFC Championship as well didn't help either. But I think there's still optimism for him. He was drafted as a second-round pick with the Denver Broncos. Looks like he should be fully healthy. And again, that PPR aspect, I think he can be a huge pass catcher in the Denver Broncos scheme that heavily relies on running back catches. And J.K. Dobbins is on the team. I hate to say it, but he's never healthy. He's never healthy, and that opens up a lot of opportunity for RJ Harvey.
And at running back 31, there's a lot of value there because he's slated to be the starter or the starter alongside J.K. Dobbins, at least at the beginning. So you're getting a quote-unquote starting running back as your RB3. There is value to be had there. the pushback I'm going to have is the whole Sean Payton thing, right? Like we don't know which running back to trust on a week in, week out basis from Sean Payton, but you getting 12 touchdowns in your rookie year, I don't think that can't be an accident, because that means that you're just being used in various different types of situations, and that would translate to future success in year 2 as well. So I don't hate it from that standpoint. And to your point, Raj, you know what? Like, the best ability is availability, right? And if he's going to be on the field and J.K. Dobbins isn't, it's something you have to keep in mind and look for. So I like this price on R.J. Harvey, but if he stays as my RB3 for the rest of the season, that wouldn't surprise me either. That's the only thing.
He's going to be a depth piece. But again, if you look at the last, I want to say 5 games, 5 games of the season from week 14 to 18, he had 17 carries, 19 carries, 7 carries, 14 carries, and 15 carries. The efficiency was not great at all, but the volume was absolutely there. And despite the fact that they drafted a rookie, we know Sean Payton doesn't trust rookies. We saw it because literally RJ Harvey went through that. So now he's a second-year player. So I much like the optimism for him coming in as a second-year player and hopefully getting more carries and more trust from a pass catching and pass protection standpoint with Sean Payton.
RJ Harvey might have won a lot of people championships last year.
100%.
Because in the semifinals and the finals, he finishes RB11 and RB11.
100%.
So, yeah. This could be a dynamite flex play in the long term.
Totally. One quick honorable mention at the running back position. We talked about him in our our bold predictions that we discussed. Jonathon Brooks, running back for the Carolina Panthers. Again, just want to remind everyone, because a lot of people would have forgotten about him, but this was the first running back taken in the 2024 draft. 2 ACL tears in 3 years have completely suppressed his draft value. So he's not played any meaningful snaps since week 14 of the 2024 season. But the Panthers did let go of Rico Dowdle. They let him go to Pittsburgh. Only Chuba Hubbard is there as really the only viable back. And we saw that he wasn't, he lacked a bit of explosiveness. He got some carries taken away from Rico Dowdle. So Brooks has fully been cleared for workouts. So no restrictions heading into training camp. So this is someone who, if I look now, he's being ranked, let's see.
I can't even find him on rankings.
Neither can I. I cannot find him either. So
he's going undrafted right now.
He's definitely going undrafted. So this is someone just to keep in your queue, and definitely you could have at an amazing cost who could end up being, not going to say league winner style, but maybe a guy who could fill in your bench during bye weeks.
It stands to reason that he'll have a role. It stands to reason that they drafted him knowing that he's going to be a big part of the offense, and the fact that they got rid of Rico Dowdle, who was like leading the league in rushing last year for like 3 games.
Yes, good point.
And they were like, you know what? We don't need this guy. We have Chuba Hubbard, who we paid, and Jonathon Brooks, who's waiting in the wings now. You might be a year ahead. You might not. But rather be early than, you're never wrong. You're just early. People say that a lot. And I think this is the case with Jonathon Brooks right now. I know I was like, in his rookie season, I had him on my bench for the entire season. I was waiting for this guy to play. He never did play.
So he's going RB 41 right now. So that's like instead of going after, like, I don't know, Chris Rodriguez, who's backing up Bashal Tutin, or Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, who's going to be behind, like Rashad White. Like, take a flyer on Jonathon Brooks.
Yeah. Swing for the fences, man. We're here to have fun.
Absolutely.
Don't play it safe.
Absolutely. So that's it for the running backs. Fab, I'm going to throw it to you on a deep dig for the for the post-hype sleepers, for the wide receivers.
I'm gonna fall off my chair. Yeah, I got wide receivers. So Brian Thomas Jr. is my first one. Jacksonville Jaguars. God. He's ranked right now as wide receiver 36. So he had like a ridiculously stupid rookie season. And then he had a ridiculously horrible sophomore season. So he finished top 12 as wide receivers rookie in 2024. The poster child really of this category, I think we can call it, like the perfect boomer bust. Wrist and shoulder injuries wrecked his 2025 despite missing only 3 games. He led the team in 1,300 air yards. Deep threat ability is real and proven. Another year in Liam Cohen's offense, 6th highest scoring attack in 2025. There's a lot to like about his situation that he's in, and you really saw Trevor Lawrence come into his own towards the end of last season as well. Really started to look like the quarterback that you expect him to be. From an ADP standpoint, being drafted well outside is proven. Top 12 ceiling, the injuries were the story, and not really the talent was the issue in 2025, but I think a healthy Brian Thomas Jr. in a top 6 scoring offense, we're looking at a potential to be a wide receiver 2 on a week in, week out basis. I know that's crazy to say. He's going as wide receiver 36, but there is tremendous value to drafting this guy as a wide receiver 4 who can put up weekly, let's say low-end wide receiver 2 numbers, but still. There's just too much talent to be ignored after what was a very, very bad 2025 season. And you saw what he can do because he did his rookie year. I don't think that was an accident.
It was not. Are we sure he's the best wide receiver on the team?
No, we're not, but that doesn't matter because we're talking about ADP.
Yeah, but
you want to talk about him versus Parker Washington?
Going
that's
38.
Fine.
Parker Washington is going like a ADP 38.
I know. So if let's talk about that from the context of what the show is for, Roger.
No, I get it. No, absolutely no. I get it. Sorry. What I'm saying, Fab, is that I fully agree with you. What I'm saying is this is an interesting situation where you have to choose between Parker Washington or Brian Thomas Jr. from a value perspective, and even Jacoby Myers is there as well. Like,
yes.
So that's what more like that's where I'm getting at is that like even I was gonna say like is he even the second best wide receiver on the team? So I fully agree. The upside is really absolutely there. What we have to see is, hey, the injury issues last year, are those resolved? Because apparently that was a big reason why, drop passes over the middle, so on and so forth. But he has to be better he has to be better at catching the ball. Period.
No, I fully agree, and those points are very well taken. The ADP is something that needs to be considered because it's huge.
Yeah.
And Brian Thomas Jr. was a first-round pick. He's an LSU product wide receiver. We all know how good the LSU wide receivers are.
Yeah.
And he had one very good year and one extremely subpar year. And it's only subpar because of the expectations that followed after his rookie season. So I'm tempering expectations, although I am a little bit higher over here, cautiously optimistic. I think a wide receiver 2, top 20 finish, top 21 finish, I think is realistic over here. I don't think it's crazy to say. This is obviously assuming if he's healthy, right?
The cost is bonkers. The cost and potential output is insane. Like someone who could literally be top 5 in terms of yards and be had at like, draft as your WR3.
Yes. Like you wouldn't want Brian Thomas Jr. as wide receiver.
Agreed. I think there's so much
there's a lot
negativity
of
around. There's so much negativity around him, like over the off season, during 100%. The season. It's like I think people are gonna see him as do not draft territory as well. Which, again, I think that would probably be a mistake.
No, I fully agree, and I think, and I know there's a lot of people that are listening to this episode right now, and they're saying that we have no idea what we're talking about because Brian Thomas Jr. probably destroyed a lot of people's drafts last year who took them as their wide receiver 1, and I get it. I fully get it, but take a look at him this year, especially at the value standpoint, because you have to forget a little bit about last year too, to a degree on some 100%. Stuff, right?
That's such a good point. Like, you can't. That's really a good point. You can't stick to your priors too much because you're going to end up missing out guys like what we're talking about.
Yeah, and like even the next guy too, potentially. Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's where it stops.
This one is a little bit.
That's where it stops.
This one is tough. But he was supposed to be a can't miss top 5 pick coming out of Ohio State University, the wide receiver university, one of the most hyped wide receiver prospects in recent memory. 2 seasons derailed by concussion, heel issues, appendectomy. 41 catches, 608 yards in 2025. He's still only 23. He's so young. Elite route running and pedigree has not changed. New QB situation could unlock him entirely. We don't know. We'll see. The ADP angle is going as wide receiver 31 right now. A little bit richer than Brian Thomas Jr., so I can understand there's more trepidation on this. I can understand that people want to jump over Marvin Harrison Jr. and say, nope, it's not for me. You still have to look that potentially the market has completely given up on him. And in a healthy season with a competent QB, there's a realistic avenue for a top 15, top 20 wide receiver finish. And the talent is there. He is a dynamite wide receiver. It's a bit dysfunctional in Arizona right now. It was in his rookie season. It was in this season too, and last season too. So all I'm saying is open your mind to the possibility of drafting a Marvin Harrison Jr. as your wide receiver 3 and be very happy when he gives you back returns of wide receiver 2, maybe even wide receiver 2 once some weeks. Maybe.
You know what, Fab? It depends. It depends on who's QB, because Jacoby Brissett had really, really good chemistry with Michael Wilson, who Michael Wilson is his ADP is 39. Yes. So he even has a lower ADP than Marvin Harrison Jr. And, we know how well he did, despite the fact that it was, kind of end of game situations. Or it's Carson Beck, rookie. Right now it seems like I don't think they resolved Jacoby Brissett's contract issue, so it could be Carson Beck. But for me, this is one that I was burned too much last year. I'm out of the Marvin Harrison Jr. business. This is one I cannot
fully understand.
So hard. I think anyone who owned them it's going to be very hard for them to endorse Marvin Harrison Jr. as a post-hype sleeper. I'm just giving the kind of devil's advocate viewpoint.
And people like you, and what do you mean people like me? People like you who advocate with that mindset will allow people like me to draft him as my wide receiver 5. And then there I am holding a lottery ticket because this guy has tremendous. He has upside. I don't care what anybody says. And when you're drafting that later on, when you're looking at your wide receiver 4s, wide receiver 5s, you're not looking for guys that are going to be weekly staples to get you your points. You're looking for lottery tickets.
Realistically, what round do you think he's going?
Yeah.
What round do you really?
Right now, he's going as wide receiver 31. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't like when people ask me the question what round someone's going in, because it all depends on their on the way that their draft is set up.
It's just there's the opportunity cost.
31. Like it's.
Yeah,
I agree.
There's the opportunity cost of saying,
no,
there's Jacoby Myers, Michael Pittman Jr., there's Jordan Addison, with Wandale Robinson. Those guys are going even way further back. So, yeah, this is going to be a good debate as we get towards the season, I think, with Marvin Harrison Jr. for sure.
Okay, Wandale Robinson's a great example. Wandale Robinson, very safe floor, very low floor, very safe floor. And it's a low floor because he's in a different offense right now, and he's not the number 1 over there unless Carlton gets injured. So they have Marvin Harrison Jr. right now, who is you're chasing up.
I have a hot take. I'm the thing, and I'll stop there. I'm questioning how good Marvin Harrison Jr. actually is, because
that is a massively hot take.
He did not look fast. He did not catch the ball very well at all. He has huge catch point issues. The route running, I didn't see. Like, I think a lot of people didn't see the route running either. So that's where, like, I don't see him as like a guy like where he was drafted, which was like a Nico Collins type, or Jamar Chase type, or even a Malik Neighbors type. Like, that's my issue. Is very interesting. It'll be really, really interesting around him.
All I know is that if he burns me this year, I'm never touching him again. Quickly for an honorable mention, very quickly honorable mention. We don't have a graphic for this guy, but Chris Godwin Jr. He's going right around the same area as Brian Thomas Jr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. and he's a junior as well, so I figure why not just throw him in here. Chris Godwin Jr. like at the beginning of 2024 was like he was wide receiver 4 in the first like 6 games, and then he got injured. And then he came back a little bit last year. There still is that connection with Baker. Baker still likes him a lot. He's still very much part of that offense. And they just got and the Bucs got rid of Mike Evans without really replacing him from any sort of wide receiver standpoint. Mecca Buka is still there for sure, but we're still talking about 2 guys that are going to be taking up a lot of the targets right now. And he's currently going as wide receiver 35. And this is another guy too where, injury history aside, he does get healthy and he does come back. And assuming he's going to be some level of the player that he was before he got injured, there is some nice upside here. There is some weekly wide receiver, high-end wide receiver 3, I want to say, even low-end wide receiver 2 from week-to-week basis. And it could pop again too, because Baker likes his guys, right? So it's just something that I want to mention before we jump into your tight ends, Roger.
Yes, thank you, Fab. So we're going to finish off with the tight ends. So I'm going to start with Mr. Sam LaPorta. One second. There you go. So Mr. Sam
Sammy
LaPorta.
the Door.
Sammy Door, tight end 3 in his rookie year, tight end 8 in 2024. He was on track to being elite for years, but just 9 games in 2025 under a struggling OC in Johnny Morton, who was fired. At the end of the season, we all recall that Dan Campbell took over play calling duties in the middle of the year. And I think he wanted to go into more of a kind of smash mouth, less deep throwing. They brought in offensive coordinator Drew Petzing, who Petzing was the OC at Arizona. And we know obviously how much Trey McBride was peppered with targets over the past two years in Arizona. So I think the angle behind this is ADP tight end 8 being drafted a little bit later, maybe than what you would expect from Sam LaPorta. But I think the market is penalizing him on what he did last year. I think Petzing's system will really allow him to see more targets and be a bigger factor in the equation in Detroit. And again, I think they're going to go with more smash mount, less deep throws, maybe less reliance on Jameson Williams, more middle of the field throws like they did with LaPorta during his rookie season.
Yeah, I like this.
Next one, we have a real. So I have two. I'd say these are real, true post hype sleepers. So we're gonna start with Jatavion Sanders. Maybe some people might have forgotten about him, but he showed real promise as a rookie in 2024. I think we all agreed that talent was always there. 2025, there was Tommy Tremble, who played a lot of tight end for the Panthers. And then his 2025, Sanders 2025 was ruined by a ankle sprain and a broken bone in December. He only finished with 29 catches and 190 yards and a TD. But it sounds like he's already running, cutting in spring practices and is entering 2026 fully healthy. If you recall, this was a guy, I believe, drafted out of Texas, who there was a lot of promise. Yeah. Some really good highlights, really good tape about him from college. Tatoro McMillan, Jalen Coker, Chris Brazell. There's a good wide receiver core there. So I think he's going to be able to potentially carve out a role as a tight end there. And the ADP angle is he's going as tight end 35. This is a free upside dart. You might not even be able to draft him. You can maybe just wait on him. You can maybe get him as a free agent. So no other tight end was signed with the Panthers. Tremble is more of like a blocking guy. I think they're going to try to feature Jatavion Sanders and see what they get out of him from an upside perspective.
Yeah, I like this call a lot. He's definitely on my very deep sleeper list and it's just again like one of those dart throws you throw at the end of your draft if you just want to starting tight end. Tight ends are very deep. Like I feel like in the last 4 or 5 years they've been super deep where you can grab pretty much anyone who's starting and they're going to get you your 5 to 8 PPR points, right? Then you have the tier above and the tier above for those elite guys. But Jatavion Sanders, I like the cut of his jib. You know what I mean? Like this is there's a lot to like here. And just to correct you quickly, that's tight end 45 rank, not 35, 45. So even deeper discount.
Oh,
and another one of those guys another one of those guys that nobody's talking about that you should be putting on your radar, which is why you should be listening to our podcast and tell your friends about it too.
100%. And last one, and yeah, to your point, Fab, like tight end is back to being a streamer position. Totally. Last one we're going to do actually is we're going to go back. Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer is a tight end. I've always liked Michael Mayer. When he came out of Notre Dame, I thought he was the prototypical tight end, 6'5", 250, 260, kind of like a mini, really like Bud Light Gronkowski. I thought he was going to be a really solid player. They ended up drafting Brock Bowers, and kind of the rest was history. You saw how good Brock Bowers was. The thing with Brock Bowers is he's not a real tight end. He is he is more of a move tight end, a guy who could play in the slot, a guy who could play out wide. And what I like about Michael Mayer is with Clint Kubiak being the coach now, Kubiak ran the 8th most 12 personnel, so 1 running back, 2 tight end sets in the NFL last year with the Seahawks. If you look at the Raiders wide receiver core, it still has Trey Tucker, Jack Besh, Jalen Naylor, who they signed, and Dante Thornton Jr. None of those wide receivers are really scaring you. So there's an opportunity for Brock Bowers to play either obviously close to the line, but also play at the wide receiver position as well. And for Michael Mayer to carve out a role as being, that secondary tight end. We saw a little bit with David Njoku and Harold Fanning. We're going to see it a little bit with Aronde Gatson and David Njoku as well. There's more and more prominence of 2 tight end sets and 2 tight ends being able to eat. I'll show you just the last 4 games. In 4 games without Brock Bowers for Michael Mayer. He had 5 targets, 5 catches, 7 targets, 50 yards, 1 TD. He had a game where he had 9 catches for 89 yards with the Giants. Even a game for 3 for 47 against the Chiefs. So I think he's not only an elite handcuff. With Kirk Cousins, he could be way more useful. But I'm calling that he's actually going to have a productive season, maybe 40 to 50 catches, 400 to 500 yards, and maybe 5 to 7 touchdowns with the Raiders this year. I really like him as a sleeper, a post-hype sleeper tight end pick this year.
Is that with Brock Bowers being healthy?
Absolutely.
Interesting. So you're putting 10 toes down right now that a rookie quarterback's gonna be able to sustain 2 tight ends.
It's not gonna be rookie quarterbacks. I mean, Kirk Cousins is gonna play the entire season.
Yeah?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, I think he's gonna play the entire season.
I like that. If that's the case, I do. I like that for Mendoza. I think that's smart for Mendoza from a QB development standpoint.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting, Roger. Interesting.
Yeah. So that kind of does it, guys, for this episode of the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. So big thanks for hanging out with us through the post hype sleeper breakdown. I'm Raj on behalf of Fab, and we'll be back with more sleepers, more breakouts, busts, a whole bunch of preview episodes before the season starts. Make sure you're following us everywhere so you don't miss a beat. Links will be in the bio and description, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Peace out. We'll be back with Knack too. Let's not forget Knack.
Yes, welcome back, Knack. Bye, guys.
Welcome back. Well.